What's going on, dudes and dudettes? I want to say a quick happy birthday to my mother today, the 14th of September. Very excited to be able to hang out with her this weekend. Gonna meet up at some place over where she lives, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Hang out, finally give her some of her gifts we've been accumulating this past year, so it's gonna be pretty fun to see her reaction to some of them. So yeah, get into the USC news real quick. So yeah, Zachariah Branch, I did mention that. Yeah, I thought it might have been the first time in a while since somebody had like a kick return, punt return, and a receiving touchdown in a while. And it was, of course, one of my ex-favorite players, Adoree Jackson, who I think if he would have played one position more, he probably would have won a Heisman, especially on offense. But yes, it's been since 2016, since he was last year, that someone had returned a kickoff, a punt return, and caught a receiving touchdown in the same season. I know, there's obviously one. I don't know if, I'm pretty sure Adoree had a couple rushing touchdowns here and there. So maybe Zachariah could have that own streak or record to himself, or maybe he will have had done it since Adoree Jackson, because I don't think anybody else has recently done that. That comes to mind, I don't think. But yeah, either way, it's a great accomplishment, and definitely very excited about this future USC Trojan. And 2026 future USC commit quarterback Julian Lewis was recently put on the Sports Illustrated cover, and it obviously mentions him being committed to USC on one of the writings on there. And it's obvious that he got this accomplishment because he is committed to USC, and yeah, he could be probably considered to be one of the good players in the future, but none of those other guys, apparently, like a Trevor Lawrence or an Andrew Luck, any of these guys recently were put on the cover that early in their career in high school. So it's obvious that it's the USC connection, and I hope he's not just using USC as some of these guys before to just, get their name out there, and then all of a sudden these other schools come in with a bigger bag and more money and all that stuff. So, but either way, I still think he could be a pretty talented dude for USC if he does end up showing up, and looking forward to see what he could bring to them in the future. And I think we had mentioned that USC was planning these future schools to be played on their schedule, but they didn't really have an official release date. But they kind of did one recently where they put in 2025 it's going to be Georgia Southern, so maybe Clay Helton, the ex-head coach, will still be there. Not, you never know. And then in 2027 they will be playing Nevada again, most likely at USC. So I kind of wish they would kind of go after other teams locally. Still haven't seen them play like a Wyoming. I've seen them play in Idaho a long time ago, but going after teams like that, like in the Mountain West, to see what they can do, because yeah, the Nevadas and even San Jose State was a nice upgrade, and it's obvious that they scored 28 points because they're a better team than some of these places. But yeah, I don't want them going after like a UC Davis or a Cal Poly, stuff like that, because I think they're still part of like Division 2 or 3, whatever. But either way, it is kind of somewhat exciting going into USC's future. And a 5-star defensive lineman in 2025, Armando Blount. I believe we mentioned him before. I forget if he was on for an official visit or not, or that they had just offered him or whatever. But as of right now, he does have USC in his top 5, which is pretty cool. Obviously, to start off, his list, and hopefully USC is still continuously on there heading into next year's recruiting cycle. But yeah, hoping to get one of these more talented players out there. And an ex-USC baseball player, Kyle Hurt, recently pitched for the LA Dodgers. I believe he came in like in relief or something like that, played like 2 innings, and there were 2 scoreless innings as well. So that's pretty cool that another ex-USC guy is out there contributing to one of the top LA sports teams. So that was always nice to see. And the other day, ex-USC basketball player Kevin Porter Jr. was arrested for domestic violence, assault, or abuse with his recent girlfriend. I think some stuff happened in a hotel room where he kind of choked her quite a bit and ended up hurting one of her vertebrae or something like that in her neck. So of course, this definitely feels like it's going to be his last straw in the NBA, because there was some stuff that happened toward his end at USC, which is why he was like a late first round pick to Cleveland, and then ended up getting let go in Cleveland because he had like a firearm or something like that when he wasn't supposed to. And then he had a second chance in Houston. They even gave him a big contract after a year or two of being in their system and doing good, but then now all of a sudden this happened. So, and I think that only one of those years of that 4 year was guaranteed on that Houston contract. So hopefully they will be able to get out of that and, not have to deal with any of his dumb antics anymore. But yeah, either way, I don't think he deserves a second chance as of right now, because it looks like it's been just, you give a guy too many chances and this is what ends up happening. So hopefully everybody can just move on from this situation. And a couple of different places have USC projected in some of the final New Year's 6 games. I believe it's 247 Sports has USC playing Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl, so that'll be pretty cool to see if that does end up happening. Alabama has already lost a game, so they could not end up being... this matchup ends up not being in the Final Four, which sucks for both USC, because I think they're the highest ranked Pac-12 team, but yet they still don't make it, which sucks. But I guess that's what's happening, that the Pac-12 is going to beat up on each other right before the end, and they're still going to get 2 teams in these New Year's 6 games, but they're not going to be in a Final Four, which sucks. But then CBS Sports also seems to always have USC in their final games. They have them playing LSU in the Cotton Bowl, but once again, still just missing out of the Final Four. And I think even in this scenario, they have Washington playing a game higher than them, which most likely means that they believe Washington won the Pac-12, which will be interesting because USC obviously has to play against Washington at home in a couple weeks, and then you never know with a Pac-12 game if you have to play one of those later teams. Once again, you most likely will, whether it's a Washington, Oregon, maybe again Utah. You never know. Or it'd be pretty cool if they could go up against Oregon State again, even though USC barely got that victory. I still would like them to have a little bit more of a better victory this year. But we will see. Should be very interesting going down the stretch here for USC. And Lincoln Riley did a recent interview saying that once he decided to leave Oklahoma and the news got out, that I guess while he was in LA doing all the promotion and stuff, that some people even broke into his house in Oklahoma and tried to do some stuff out there, which is pretty crazy because, who knows how long he was going to keep his family out there for them to finish school and then come over. But it's just crazy because even if he's out here and out at the store or something, I'm pretty sure he does not get mobbed as much as he would have in a smaller place like Oklahoma, even though it seems like we appreciate him more than they did, which is why he kind of wanted to come here and build a nice nest for him and his family. But either way, yeah, it's kind of dumb, some of these fans, what they end up doing. It's just sports. It's just college football. It's not that important in the grand scheme of life. But these people just get turned up over because that's just the only thing that they have, which sucks for them. But I guess you just have to grow up at some point because, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous what they ended up doing to him and some of his property, which is pretty crazy. But then, yeah, there is a college football blue bloods. They recently said that USC now has the number 1 toughest schedule just because of all of the 8 Pac-12 teams that are now ranked in the top 25, which is pretty crazy. But even going through their schedule, obviously they play at ASU not this weekend, but the following weekend. But then they have number 18, Colorado on the road. So who knows if they're going to stay there. They might move up higher. Then at number 9, Notre Dame after that, so they could be higher too, depending if they beat Ohio State. Number 12, Utah, they could be higher. Number 8, Washington, like I said, they could be higher. At number 13, Oregon could be higher, and pretty sure UCLA could be higher as well from number 24. So either way, yeah, USC got pretty much the short end of the stick, as they say, with this scheduling, and hopefully they will be able to get through it eventually. I mean, some of their offensive numbers have been pretty crazy, like they're at the top, or at least top 4, top 5, even number 1 in most cases, especially when it comes to like explosive plays. But yeah, your defense just has to step up a bit, which they have been the past couple of weeks, but you are going to be facing a lot better competition. So I don't expect anything special to happen not in 2 weeks from now against ASU, but against Colorado, we'll see how many big plays they end up giving up, because that could make that game a bit more interesting than it should be. But yeah, hoping the best for USC's defense. And yes, as I mentioned, USC is at Arizona State, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. I think it's the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. on Fox. So be in front of the country. Pretty much everybody will be able to see it all over, and hopefully they will put out a good performance as they did against Stanford at home, but this will be on the road. So it'll be a little bit tougher, but I don't think it will be as hot, especially because of the late game start. So that'll be good for at least USC and their stamina. But definitely looking forward to that future victory. And then I want to end up with some miscellaneous news. I think I mentioned this, that I recently finished The Bear, or have been watching The Bear, but I didn't really go in depth to how much I thought about it. And yeah, it was a show that came out last year, and then they recently did the second season a couple months ago. And I just decided to watch it to see what everybody was talking about. And yeah, from the beginning, you kind of just get into it, because if you've worked in the fast food restaurant or restaurant industry at all, you kind of feel like you have moments of like that where it's like high pace and very stressful and all this stuff. So they definitely depict that really good. But even the story behind it, him having to come and help his family because someone died of suicide in his family, so he takes over that restaurant and trying to help build it up, because he is like a star cook or star chef out there. Like, he got one of those stars, so he's a Michelin person, so he's a very talented person, but deal with the crazy family trauma and all this past stuff that you don't really know about, but having to deal with that and a crazy chaotic work environment of these people that don't really trust you is pretty crazy story in itself. And the second season was just as good, in my opinion. Hopefully they will get this writer stuff done so they can get on to this next season and get it done by, say, next June, when it usually does come out, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Fight on.